Today I'm going to show you how I design something and take it from an idea to a reality. Hi, I'm Kevin. Welcome to Beam and Board, where I'm taking you behind the scenes of this woodworking and laser shop and showing you how I'm getting started and selling products online. So a few days ago, I was trying to come up with some ideas of things that I can make in my shop. And I was talking with my son about it, and he said, well, why don't you try making some guitar pick shaped coasters? That might be something that you could sell on the Etsy store. So I thought about it for a little bit, and it really is an interesting idea. And I looked around, I didn't see anything like it. So I came up with some plans, and I'm going to share that with you today. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll share a bonus idea that I came up with to go along with these coasters. I started off this project with some walnut boards that I had previously sawn down to 5/16 of an inch thick. Now I take some measurements of the boards and look them over for any flaws that might show up in the final product. Now for making the design for the coasters, I'm going to go to my laser software. I use a software called LightBurn. This is a very popular software. Many people are familiar with it. And this is a very good software for setting up and designing SVG files to burn any kind of laser projects. Now I could design the guitar pick shape completely from scratch in the software, but that takes some time to do. And well, it's a guitar pick. It's something that I can go out onto the internet and find that shape and not spend a bunch of time trying to make up something that's already there for me. So I do a quick image search and look for a free picture that I can easily trace in the LightBurn software. I think this one looks good for what I'm doing today. And while I'm online, I'm going to head over to Etsy and look for some designs that I can actually engrave onto these coasters. And these are guitar pick shaped coasters, so it only makes sense to use guitar related quotes. I could design these myself instead of buying them from Etsy, but at a few dollars for multiple designs, it only makes sense to save the time and make the small purchase and get these designs and get the coasters into production. I do want to give a word of caution here. If you do stuff like this and you download these SVG files, these vector files that are made for laser engravers or Cricuts from somewhere like Etsy, make sure you read through the description, because many of the sellers will let you know in the description if these files are available for use, for personal use, for commercial use, how many of them you can sell. For example, the one I selected said it could be used for commercial use up to 100 times. So if I'm going to do more than 100 times, I need to come up with a different file or maybe contact the seller. But it may say for personal use only, so you don't want to get in trouble with the seller. Some of them offer licenses, yearly renewals, something that you can do to continuously use their products over time. Back in LightBurn, I take that guitar pick image that I previously downloaded, and I do a trace function, which allows me to pull the vectors. It's a line that the laser can follow for the cut. And I pull that out onto the project workspace here in LightBurn. And once I have that, I can delete the image and just use the vector. And I want to set it to the size that I want this to cut. So I've decided that I want these coasters to be 4 inches wide. And the next step is to load in those SVG files that I previously downloaded from Etsy. Once I have all of those loaded into LightBurn and set off to the side, I select the ones that I want to use on my coasters, and I copy those and begin to position and size them how I want them to look on each individual coaster. Then I take some measurements here in the software of the layout, and I use that to determine how long my boards should be, and I take the boards over to the miter saw and cut them down to length. But when I went to make that cut, I couldn't find the pencil that I usually use in my shop. And I looked all over the place for it, could not find it. So I used an old dried out ink pen that I could barely see. And, well, right there's my pencil. So I don't know if you're like me, but I do that all day long in my shop. Now back at the laser, I take the offcut from the board and I just set it up in the laser and do what's known as a material test. And I use this test to determine the settings I want to use for the engravings on these coasters. I have a ballpark idea of what those settings should be, but this just helps me to fine tune and get the exact look I'm going for. And the last step before I run the laser is to get the board placed and get the laser height set, and then do a quick frame check, which is just running the laser around the workpiece to make sure that everything is going to stay in frame. We're not going to have any cuts that run off the board. And once that's done, it's really as simple as push play, make sure the ventilation's set up, and allow the laser to do its job. So almost 45 minutes later, here's the finished product. Now, as soon as I had made these, I took a picture of them and shared it with my dad. And my dad's a guitar enthusiast, so he was really interested in these coasters. And the next day, he called me and said, "Hey, I've got an idea for something you can do with these coasters. Why don't you make a holder for them that looks like a guitar amp?" So I thought about that for a minute, and I think that's something I could make happen. Now, after making a prototype that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to, I ended up coming up with this design in LightBurn. And this is what the final product looked like, assembled and finished. I'm really excited with how these turned out. And I looked around and confirmed I do have some more boards available. So I'm going to batch a few of these out and get them listed online very soon. Okay, so quick update on that cutting board that I made a little over a week ago, the first Etsy listing. It did sell, and I found that the shipping process, as far as buying the labels through Etsy and then going to the post office and getting it shipped off, was incredibly easy. Etsy has this, just the process is so straightforward and simple that I thought it was going to be way more complicated than it was. So I'm really thankful for that. And I'll be watching to see if there's any feedback on how the item was received, but I did get a delivery confirmation that that item made it to its destination. And I've also sold one other item and got it shipped out, one of the small signs that I had listed on my Etsy site. So I would say that at this point, I'm at least starting to learn the process of listing, selling, and shipping on Etsy. So that's it for this week. I really hope you enjoyed seeing this project come together. And if you want to see more videos like this one, consider subscribing to the channel. Also, maybe you have an idea of something that you'd like to see made from scratch. So if you do have an idea, why don't you throw it in the comment section and I'll take a look at it. If it's something I think I can do, I'll make a video on how I put it together. And finally, if you're interested in buying any of the products that you see made on this channel, there's a link to the Etsy store down in the description. Love to see you come check the store out. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next build.